Right.
Hey guys, it's Algenon.
And it's me, Renee.
And welcome to our talk show.
Yes.
And today, on episode 16, we're going to discuss our thoughts on success and how not to settle for less.
Absolutely. So as you see with the title of this video, it has to do with self-growth and working towards success, which kind of basically explains the whole topic. And we just want to kind of dive deep into it. And I'll just let Algenon take over for a little bit while I add a little bit of commentary and maybe some thing to add on if I wanted to. But Alge, you can go ahead and kick off this video.
Okay. So I know a lot of us, we get so comfortable hanging out with our friends all the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
And certain acquaintances all the time, correct? Yeah. So, but sometimes you want to grow, as in you want to get a better education, you want to, start your own business, you want to start working, you learn how to move up in a company. But sometimes emotionally, we get so used to doing the same old thing every single day that we don't know how to grow and do our own thing and be our own person. So a lot of times, emotionally, you feel kind of hesitant because you're just like, okay, I do want to hang out. Yes, I do want to, go to lunch with all my friends and all this other kind of stuff and see all these people that I truly love and care about. But sometimes you just have to be by yourself.
Yeah.
And the reason is, you have to be by yourself is because a lot of times you're going to see a lot of people's true colors. You want to see who's going to really truly support you. You want to see a lot of people who are not going to support you. So sometimes red flags are there, but a lot of times it's hard to just accept it.
Yeah.
I would really just say you have to lean on God for that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask the Lord. You have to read the Bible. You have to put Him first and seek Him first, so that you know what direction you're going to go within your career. We all got different careers, but as long as that you put God first and do what He says, you'll be totally fine.
Right.
So, what questions you want to ask me real quick? We could just we could talk more about it and deep dive into it.
Yeah, we gotta dive deep into this topic. I know it's pretty dense to talk about, trying to be an independent person and just trying to grow as a person. It's super hard to kind of just jump into it if you're not the type of person who likes to be alone. So for me, I wanted to ask Algenon, what does self-growth really mean to you? Let's just define it in a sentence or two.
Well, what self-growth means to me is you have to find your own self.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to really, truly know what you want out of life. That's what it means to me. What does self-growth mean to you?
I think self-growth has more to do with maturity. And I think just as you were, in high school and then you suddenly go to college and you kind of mature over time, I just think of self-growth in that sense. And also growing as a person, not only, physically, of course, but emotionally, mentally, even spiritually as well. So I kind of look at it as overall growth rather than just just growing, physically or anything. But I think it's just overall growth in all those aspects and just being a better person, more improved version of yourself. Absolutely.
Good, right?
Yeah. And for me, I think I didn't really have much of a self-growth start until I pursued into a more medical field, because it really does teach you kind of how to challenge yourself and how to persevere through even failure. And I know I don't want to say I completely failed during nursing school, but there are times where you kind of beat yourself up because you're under stress, especially with all these deadlines, especially with all these exams that don't work as normal exams. You're always constantly trying to answer tests and like doing this every week and just trying to prepare for it every single time, getting ahead of the game and not procrastinating. And I think that helped me grow as a person because I learned to kind of manage my time better. I learned what worked best for me and kind of, focus more on like what really mattered and what worked for me personally rather than compare and rather than try to put myself in a situation where I'll just kind of derail from that goal of mine to, pass all these tests or all that stuff. So I think it helped me grow once I started studying nursing school because I am officially a nurse now and I am in residency, still brand new nurse, but like that truly kind of kick-started that self-growth journey for me personally. But now I want to ask you kind of like started that for you. Do you know when and how did that kind of happen?
I would say for me, I know I was into the medical field as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But once I realized that I was stuck last year, and I was at that community college for a long time, I just did not know what to do anymore. I realized and I saw that I had to find my own self.
Yeah.
It really hit when COVID hit. I literally was just by myself. And I started to realize that, okay, how am I going to get out of this school? How am I going to do better for myself?
Yeah.
How on earth can I get out of here? Because I am stuck and I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very passionate about the medical field. I wanted to be a physical therapist. That was my
that's
huge
awesome.
goal. That was my huge goal that I really wanted to be. But it did not turn out like that. I had to change majors. Especially when COVID hit, I couldn't be around anybody. I was too nervous to be around anybody. I talked to my counselor about it. He's like, you only have like 4 classes left. Why don't you just switch your major, because we don't know when the school is going to open up. At first, I wasn't so sure about it. I thought about it for at least a pretty good while. When I say a while, I say I think maybe a few weeks, because school is about to start soon. So during those few weeks, I really just leaned on God, and I was like, I don't know what to do. How can I get out of this situation? So I had to get out of my comfort zone. And once I made that change of, changing my majors and everything, I realized that I have to be alone because this is my moment. I was always being a supportive friend to other people, but I forgot who I was. And once I made that huge change, and I started to realize what it's really truly like being by yourself, working hard every single day. Get up, study, get up, study, get up, study, get up, study. And I've never took online classes before.
I know.
You really, truly are challenging yourself. I mean, it's a huge challenge.
It's a huge shift from like the normal atmosphere that you're used to, especially when it comes to studying. And it's even harder for those who are going into fields that need hands-on experience and just needs more of, that physical and just being able to really do things rather than just rely on, the internet all the time and just like being online, which is not even good for you all the time.
Exactly.
It was just complicated.
It really is complicated. And then when I did make that change from kinesiology, what I personally actually loved all that time.
I loved it too.
To communications and social behaviors and getting my degrees in that and a general education certificate, I realized that if I did not make that change, I would not have grown. I really truly wasn't. And I don't regret that I made that change. I think that was the best change I've ever done in my life. I just did not know how to, accept, working all this time for these kinesiology classes, right? All of this time, taking every single class you could think of, right?
Oh, yeah.
Fighting my behind for all these
dense.
different levels. Because at that time, it was so many different classes that were so unnecessary that wasted my time. And how it affected me emotionally and personally. I was angry, I was upset, or especially when you're not moving up to the next level. And you'd be like, why is this happening? I've worked so hard in all these different classes, like, why am I not out yet? So once I made that shift change of, okay, you have these classes left. Yes, it is COVID time. Yes, all your classes are going to be on Zoom. How are you going to make it out? It's a do or die situation.
It felt like it.
You feel so much pressure because, the thing is online and sometimes the professor can't hear you and all this other stuff, right? And you're really by yourself. You really, truly are by yourself.
Yeah.
And it's the best decision I've ever made because I'm so much happier now. And I find myself that, it's okay to start going as your own person. It's okay to find out, like, what do you want to do within your life? How can you be successful?
Yeah.
You could be successful, but without God, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You really truly see who has your back and who doesn't in that moment. When you make a huge change, it's constant pressure emotionally. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're excited for the change, but in that process, it's always going to be tension because you have so much to do.
Yeah.
And when you have so much to do, you kind of feel a little overwhelmed. But sometimes you have to learn how to take breaks in between. You have to just really take your time when you're doing it because you can't let stuff overrule you when you're in these steps, I should say. Process on what you want to do in life.
That's true.
And I want to say too, like, if it's like something that you've been asking for all this time, if it's not for you, it's okay. Find something else, try to find something else to do because you don't ever want to waste your time and being stuck. And not just with school, I'm talking about with jobs, your associates who you hang around with. Because sometimes when you hang around certain people, they will talk a good game with you. But if they're not, trying to guide you into like where you want to be, then you'll be like, is this person really truly telling the truth? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, for example, I would say like a lot of my class associates that I was around with, right? They would talk a good game. You can take this class, so you go to university and you could do this and you could do that. But they didn't move on. They still stuck to this day. And, sometimes you have to be careful who you truly listen to. If they're not doing it themselves, then you question yourself like, okay, if you're saying all these things to me, why are you not doing it? You know what I'm saying?
It's almost like they're trying to use you to kind of test out, oh, will this work if they go for it? And if it's not going to work, then they're not going to do it. It's like you're kind of like the guinea pig in that situation, like in an experiment where it's like, oh, we'll just have, Algae kind of test this out for us. And if he didn't do very well or if he's doing very well, then we will kind of follow that.
Yeah.
And it's so, oh my gosh, it's pretty toxic and it's kind of crazy. But that's kind of their way of like fooling you.
You're right about that. That's true.
And this is where I get it, where it's best to kind of just be alone, because then you
Right.
make better decisions when you have that space to think, and you don't have all these voices and all these people kind of influencing your decisions at the moment, especially at the moment.
Right.
And the only
Right.
person you'll blame is yourself, because at least, no one else influenced you. So, like, you
Right.
wouldn't be that upset, especially if it's like, "Oh, well, I tried my best, and if it's not for me, it's not for me." Like, you can accept that, but when it comes to, like, allowing people to kinda decide things for you and you kinda just go with it, that's where it becomes a problem.
Yes, and that's true because you have to start watching their actions too. See, a lot
Yeah.
of times people be telling you stuff like, well, I guess, you could do that, or I guess, you could do that. I mean,
Yeah.
well, all those little different, side comments. And once you see their actions on how they're not doing it for themselves, as in going to class or, going to work on time, or,
Oh,
all
yeah.
these other different things, but making everything else a priority that's not being successful, you see where they at, and they will complain about their own selves on what's going on in their lives, and it passes on to you
Yes.
because they don't want you to be successful either.
Yeah.
They don't want to see somebody else who's doing better
And maybe
because
it
all that
intimidates them.
jealousy,
It
yeah,
intimidates them.
all that jealousy and envious things
Mhm.
and being so rude and disrespectful and thinking that's supposed to be your friend the whole entire time, your homie or your homegirl all this time, and they just turn on you like that and all this other kind of stuff. And that's why also too, a little side comment, you gotta be careful on social media, on how they write their little
Oh
what do you call it?
gosh.
Captions.
Yeah.
People be putting these like real good captions like on how to be real and all those other kind of steps, and they're not doing it for themselves. You gotta be careful with that too now.
It's kinda like, just don't be fooled with the words people say.
Right.
Yeah. Like, you gotta really look into it, or you just don't be naive
Mhm.
about it. Just don't be naive, basically.
Right.
Mhm. It's like, you know yourself better, and sometimes your gut really does tell you something. Like, if you sense something is not right, or, like, you think something's a little bit off, most likely it is off. So,
And it's gonna kick you in the
yeah.
behind when you don't listen to your gut in the first instant.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
sometimes you don't want to accept it. You don't want to accept like, okay, maybe this person is just really truly just nice, and maybe he or she doesn't mean any harm, but they do. And I think a lot of people get so caught up on the age difference or whatever. It happens
Oh.
everywhere you go.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
happens
for
at
sure.
church too. It
Mhm.
happens at church. People don't ever want to believe it does not happen at church, and it
I'm
does.
so
I've
shocked that it
witnessed
would
it.
happen at a church, first of all. Not that it has happened to me personally, but the fact that you're telling me it happens at church is kind of crazy.
It happened to me.
I know,
Honestly,
it's like,
it
what's
happens to
going
me.
on there? You
Exactly.
know, it's like, first of all, an appropriate time to do that.
Exactly.
Second of all, it's meant for praying and positive energy, not something to cause drama or anything that will bring people down. That's the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing at church.
Right.
Um, Wrong place, wrong time.
Exactly.
Um, but yeah, I think when you are alone, I mean, we always think of it as like, oh, you're just an introverted person. But I think it's beneficial to be introverted in a way, because then you kind of learn more about yourself. And I think that's the good thing with the pandemic. I'm not saying the pandemic was a good thing 100%. I know it was a little bit hard for a lot of us, but I think it helps you realize, like, what could you do with your time and what will benefit you during that time.
COVID is a make or
Because
break. It makes or breaks you.
yes, and it's the way of how you handle it. If you're always thinking negative during that time, then something's not going to, come out of that, and I don't think you'll grow much as a person. But if you look at it as like a positive way, like, hey, this is a time I can really focus on what I really got to do and just like focus on my own growth, that will help you come out as a stronger person than you were before the whole thing. started.
Yes.
Yes. Even though, of course, unfortunately, that's not the best thing that has happened last year. But we can't always look at it as a negative thing, too. We got to just think of it like, hey, this is a time to grow. And it's a time.
And I agree with you with that, because even though COVID still is going on, I know with me, it's like I'm fine with being by myself more than ever.
Yeah, I think I've learned to just kind of be more comfortable not having so many people around me.
Yeah.
And I think it's for the better, too, because you don't get yourself in crazy situations. So.
Right. So you started to follow that pattern that you was, ever since last year. You're like, okay, I don't have to be around people. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do anything like that. What about my own peace and quiet? What about my own, sanity and doing what I want to do?
And it's nice because you're able to think more clearly.
Yes.
And that's really important because you know how when you get really busy, and I like to say that sometimes life gets in the way, but it's true. Like you're so busy, sometimes you can't even process things properly. And what more if you add people into it, it kind of just distracts that. Like, what are you actually really, truly thinking about? Like, it's good to have that moment for yourself because then you're able to really process things properly. Right. So I wouldn't say being alone is a bad thing. Basically.
Yeah, it's like
moral of the story. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's like you always have to be alone. Of course, you got to be realistic. If you got family, you got like really close friends or people who actually care about you, it's fine to occasionally talk to those people and just be surrounded by people, especially if they have that positive vibe, because it's really good to have that around as well. It's just you have to sometimes know when not to surround yourself with people.
Right. But now it's like, you have to know what you want more than ever, and you have to keep the same thing that we've done during COVID. We have to continue this on.
Yeah.
No matter what we go in life, no matter where we're going in life, we have to do the same exact thing over and over and over.
Like basically the show must go on.
Yeah.
Show must go on.
Whether for the people out there who's in middle school transferring to high school, high school people going to college graduates, moving on to a much bigger university, job-wise, whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're here for everybody. Do what is best for you, no matter what that is. If you choose to be alone, we're not here to tell people really what to do, but, just a good suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just here to suggest things.
Do what is best for you so you could get there where you want to be in life. That means if you have to quit talking to certain people, stop doing that. You have to cut out being on social media as much, do that.
Like take a break, sometimes.
Take a break from social media sometimes. Take a break from certain people. Just find yourself. Pace yourself. And figure out, like, okay, what do you really truly want to do spiritually, and you'll be okay. You'll find out at the end of the tunnel that you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
That you're going to be better and bigger and better than ever. You really, truly are.
Yeah, and it's always fulfilling to know that you did something good for yourself. Especially if you do it on your own, it's even more, like, fulfilling. Because you don't realize how capable you are as a person until you really just kind of go for it. Like you go for it without any of the like distractions and all that stuff, and you just kind of go for it and just keep pushing through. Whether you fall here and there, but like if you just keep working towards that goal, it's just a really good feeling knowing like you went through the struggle and you really persevered through it.
Right.
Yes.
But I think that this was a really good video.
Oh,
this is a really, really good topic.
If anyone out there can relate and like being introverted and like, hey, it's actually not so bad after all, and just like learning more about self-growth, if you guys hopefully enjoyed this video or appreciated a topic like this, we'll be sure to, come up with more topics related to this. That'd be kind of awesome. So that way we can keep this positive energy as always, in
Yes.
every single episode. That's the goal.
Yes.
And yeah, so we want to just keep positive here.
Yes, so stay tuned more for the Winona and Algernon Talk Show.
Yes.
So until next time, stay safe, stay positive, and do what is best for you, and live your best life, and keep going.
Yes. And stay tuned for future videos like this on the Nona and Algae Talk Show on our YouTube channel. And hopefully we will, have a more updated, more improved professional version of our talk show. We're just working on what we got now, but hopefully we will get to that place, and then we'll come up with more episodes, greater episodes, and go from there.
Yes, we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.